Okay.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, as you may notice, this mustache is a little harder to switch, so we're gonna switch it up halfway in the run. I guess we'll get started.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go to new game English. What names are we gonna pick if we're gonna pick any?
Ooh, yeah, we should. You know
That's
what?
gonna be interesting.
We should pick the names of our top donators. I think.
Fair enough.
Shady, you're up. You're on start. Who's number 2? Bird. Let's go for. Oh.
Whoa.
Your friend Bert.
Bird.
Oh, Bird 650. 650.
Yeah, the 6. We'll have to go bird.
This will be fine.
I think Xander donated a good amount just now. I mean, he got us, or he tried to get us over the 275.
Serious?
Who?
Serious, but Boxmeister donated 25.
Oh, we're gonna go Boxmeister. I guess we'll just go box. That's probably easiest.
Who's?
And then Serious SE.
SE. Okay.
Serious as in a full word doesn't fit. We have 6 characters.
Yeah, it's 6 characters.
Okay.
R, I,
Up. I, not Y,
Oh.
probably.
and then AZ.
Are those our top 4 donators?
Yep. Looks like it.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we ready on the timer?
We are.
You might want to change the runner names to comma.
Change that after.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's count down.
Sure.
3, 2, 1, go.
So hello everybody, this is Final Fantasy 1 for the PlayStation Portable, run on 2 players, 1 controller. So basically how this is gonna work is I'm on the arrow keys and Jasper over here, he's on the remaining keys. So first off, we're gonna have to somehow manage to navigate through this menu. That's gonna be interesting. So we're gonna do a bit of an equipment glitch here. So this is a frame perfect glitch, and as a result, it's gonna be kind of difficult for us to navigate through this if we have to both do this frame perfectly.
Yep.
Okay, out.
And then formation should be good.
Okay. So that's
And then, yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, we just glitched the hammer into a knight's armor, which is gonna give us a bunch of money as well as a ton of defense. Basically, it's like the second most expensive piece of armor in the game. And as a result, we're now basically not gonna take any damage anymore. So yeah, that menu, on like a really good runner, that menu takes about 30 seconds. So this is where we get to see the big difference between having to do this normally and having to do this together. We still need to do a formation change, by the way.
Yeah.
We need to put our white.
We'll do that in a
white
second
making
as we
thief
get
around.
out.
Sure. Just give me the word.
As we get out of town, basically.
Okay, should work. The reason we want to keep the the thief in the second slot is because the thief actually takes more hits. The way it's set up is that the first character takes 128 out of 255 of the attacks given. The second one gets 64, and then it's 31 and 32 to add up to 255 total. So the last 2 characters don't take as much damage as the first 2. Over the course of the run, we want our thief to actually take damage at times. Because we're going to have to do a bit of grinding later on, for which we want to kill off the thief beforehand. And with that, we're going to move on to the first dungeon. So this is Chaos' Shrine. And before we're going to the boss, we're going to sidetrack a little bit to get an item over here.
Yeah, it's a letter cap. It's if you've not seen this before, basically the equipment in this game is kind of broken, where you can frame perfectly switch from a weapon slot to an armor slot. It'll actually equip the item ID of that weapon back to the armor, or the other way around. So basically, we now have a helmet in the weapon slot, which is a judgment staff. So that's very interesting. That's totally going to be very useful to us in just a second.
That was a pretty smooth menu, I gotta
Yep.
say. We
That
got
was
through
pretty
that
good.
pretty smoothly. We'll actually try to do the menuing the proper way on one of the very last menus. We tried that in practice with not too much of a success. Having to press 2 buttons on the same frame together is kind of tricky, so we'll see how that works out. So this is the first boss, this is Garland, and we're just gonna attack him and hope we kill him quick enough. A 2-player 1 controller has not been, no. Not to my knowing, at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Garland down. With Garland out of the way, we've rescued the princess, and we're gonna take her back to the castle.
We'll finish. Don't worry about that. We can still beat my PB, Kappa. Okay, so fun fact, we're picking up this loot here. If you were playing the NES version, the game is not going to remind you to ever pick up that loot. You need it at the end of the game. So basically, you'd miss an item in the first part of the game that you would need in the end of the game, and it'll never tell you where to actually pick it up. In the PSP version, if you walk out, the princess will actually call you back and give you the loot.
Yeah, the reason we still talk to the princess manually is that walking back there, you walk back at a normal walking speed instead of dashing. So you lose a couple you lose like a second or something by walking down first. So this is, as a reward for saving the princess, we're gonna get this bridge built, and I want you guys to pay special attention to the guy in the bottom left. You see all these guards working really hard to get this bridge fixed, but this guy, he's not particularly interested in working hard, so he's just gonna wave around his arm and, just be lazy while his fellow soldiers do all the work.
I'm gonna guess he's the same soldier that actually asked the question of what the hell this has to do with a prophecy. I mean,
Yeah, probably.
Kind of makes sense for him to do that.
So next up, we're going to move to Provoca, and to travel around, we kind of need some form of transportation that can get us over the sea. So we're going to try to get ourselves a ship. First, though, when we get on the bridge, there's this little cutscene. And even though this is the BSG with added cutscenes,
Well, we loaded it.
we loaded the cutscene. I guess that counts. It's good enough. We're going to skip the rest of it. So yeah, let's move towards Provoca, shall we? So this forest is notorious for giving us encounters,
Especially wolves.
especially wolves, and wolves are really annoying because they're hard to run from. A lot of the RNG in this game comes down to how many encounters do you get and how bad are they to run from, if they are even runnable, because some encounters cannot be run from, period. Generally, runs tend to pretty much average out over the course of a run. You get about 200 encounters on average, but that tends to vary a little bit. So, we're kind of hoping for good RNG and that we're not going to get too many. So this is actually a pretty tricky menu because we're gonna try to get the Judgment Staff off with all of our characters, except for the Warrior. The Warrior is slow enough that he's never going to go first. So we have to go into the menu, then Jasper had to press X, and then I have to go up again, and he has to actually activate the Judgment Staff. That kills the pirates. It's a really easy fight, as you can see. It's no big deal. And as a reward, this guy is gonna give us a ship. Now there is a little mini game on the ship, but that mini game can actually be used to save some time. There's a 1 in 6 drop if you finish under a minute. That is difficult enough on a 1-player run, let alone a 2-player run. So it's currently not worth it for us to actually try. Nice crit on the thief there.
Yeah.
He's getting pretty low, but we're about to start healing again, so...
Yeah, we should be fine. Just after the boat exit, I
yeah.
guess? Sure.
Works out. So yeah, this is one of the worst encounters in the game. We got very lucky and got away from that. The big guys have a chance to paralyze you, and Sahagins are painful to run from to begin with. Ooh,
Let's
okay.
heal right after this.
Yeah. Menu sort?
Sure.
Circle.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
So one thing we discovered in practice of this is that as long as Jasper is mashing X, I can't actually go down to the next character. So he has to pause mashing for me to actually switch character. That's something we actually, neither of us knew that going into this. We figured that out as we were going. So
Yeah, I can basically troll him into never being able to switch anything. As long as I'm trying to use an item.
So yeah, what we do there, the reason we mash those items and just go for full health if we can is by mashing through an item, we actually cancel out the animation entirely. So you get the animation over the animation, and that pretty much just cancels it out. It saves a couple seconds to do that. It's only available in a PSP version. Any other version of the game, you actually have to sit it. You have to just sit it out manually. There's nothing you can do about it. And with that, we're going on to Marsh Cave, and I guess that we might as well explain a little bit about the story behind all of this. So, we're the 4 Warriors of Light, and our goal is to travel back in time to stop Garland from all the evil. So we're gonna have to somehow gather the 4 crystals so that we can travel 2,000 years into the past, so that we can kill Garland in the past, so that that never happens, and he never gets to kidnap the princess and stuff, I guess. There's really not much story to it, but in order to get to those crystals, we first have to manage to open up a canal somewhere. In order to do that, we need the nitro powder, which was actually in the first town, but it was behind a door that was locked by the king. So, you know, the king, being as mean as he was, he wanted to build that bridge, but we're not allowed to get into his treasury, so he's kind of greedy, I guess. So we're gonna see if we can get a key from the elves, and that should pretty much just solve our problem. They have a magic key, and that opens up any door that you try to open with it, which is really convenient. Problem being that the elven prince, who we kind of want to get it from, he's asleep. He's under a sleeping curse and can only be woken up with the help of a Jolt tonic. That Jolt tonic is held by Matoya. She can make it no problem, but her eye got stolen, so she's blind at the moment. That eye got stolen by Astos, and Astos won't fight us unless we have the crown, which is why we just picked up that crown. So we picked up the crown so that we can get to Astos, so that we can get the Mystic Key for Matoya, so that we can get the Jolt tonic from her, get to the Elven Prince, wake him up, and get the Mystic Key, so that we can open up the door so we can get the Nitro Powder to open up a canal. Also, this is a really bad encounter rate for Marsh, isn't it?
Yeah, but at least we're getting a few preemptive encounters. So
That's
basically,
true.
to quickly go on that, preemptive strikes will always let you run immediately. It'll always have a 100% chance of you being able to run, even if the encounter is technically unrunnable. For an ambush, you have to wait for all of them to attack before you can try and run.
On that note, I should mention that we're currently ahead of my PB.
Nice.
My PB is a really bad early game, so that says enough, but...
Then again, I'm ahead of your PB at this pace.
Yeah, but just the fact that we're ahead on a 2-player run,
Fair
it's
enough.
pretty interesting. Doubt we'll be able to keep it though.
Let's see.
These are wolves, and wolves are basically like the worst encounter in the game. They're incredibly difficult to run from. We got pretty lucky there. They're usually in big packs. They outspeed us most of the time, so they get a lot of attacks off before we do. It's just really annoying. We really do not want to see those things.
Yeah, good thing is, in a little bit after this fetch quest, we can actually get some Thieves Bracelets, which will give us a lot of agility. That agility will help us be able to run a lot faster from these enemies and give us a lot more chance of running away, so these encounters and their run rates will improve pretty shortly.
So this is the Western Keep, and this is where we're going to meet up with Astos. We're going to give him that crown, and we apparently fell for his trap, and now he's going to be the true Elven King. I don't like that attitude, do you?
No, so
Let's
punch it down with a stick. Called
so
the Judgment
This
Staff.
is actually a pretty tricky bit of menuing. Okay, there we go. Death can be really annoying. If that hits, we have a chance to not kill him in one turn. That's pretty unlucky. If we get a high roll on the White Mage, though, we'll still kill in one turn. But it's kind of RNG dependent now. He either does a normal attack or he casts death. That is a really good critical there.
That's
This
a
is
good
a somewhat decent roll, and we'll kill.
Yeah, if it's like 120, we should be fine.
Oh,
Okay.
there we go.
Hello.
There we go. Let's go. So yeah, that is, despite the death, which is generally the move you do not want to see, we still got him in one turn. It's not a guaranteed at that point, but we got really lucky on the rolls there. Phoenix down, 1 potion. I
Yeah.
think.
Let's do that. So yeah, why we're now using 1 potion is there's quite a bit later into the run. Sorry. Go right once.
Yeah, okay.
There's a part where we actually need both our thief and our warrior to die because we need our mages at a certain level. And because the game gives you a set amount of XP for every enemy you beat, if you have less enemies actually alive in your party, you will give those 2 party members a lot more experience. So by killing off both the thief and the warrior, we can actually give our mages way more XP than you're usually supposed to.
Yeah, this makes grinding, or this speeds up grinding by like, or this cuts the time for grinding in half pretty much. So it's a pretty significant time save. It saves about 2 minutes, well, a little under, because we actually take a little bit of time killing them, but...
These snakes, man.
Ooh, these snakes are being...
Do we want to kill them or run again?
Run. We'll give it one more turn. They're snakes. We should run. There we go.
There we go. So yeah, even though that should have been a pretty easy encounter to run from, it's still FF1.
Ooh, so this is the wolf ambushes. These are the worst thing that can happen. Luckily, it's just a pack of 5. These guys tend to show up in packs of 8 and more. Like, I've seen 9 wolf ambushes before, and you're just gonna be in that encounter forever.
Especially because usually you can't even run from it first try.
So we're gonna still skip the Elven Castle here. We're first gonna have to get that Jolt Tonic before we're going in. As soon as we get the Jolt Tonic, though, we can get back there and get those Thieves' Armlets, so that running away from enemies will get a little bit easier, at least. So instead of just docking near Cornelia, where, we could just go for that, we'll give it 1 turn.
Sure. Should be fine. 3rd tries the charm. Ah.
I guess we can kill it. Oh, back.
Let's not do that right now. Also, don't kick the table. That's going to be bad for people. Oh, wow.
So yeah, sharks tend to be really annoying to run. It's kind of runner preference whether you decide to kill them or not. So I parked my ship on the edge of the dock there. That's actually a really new strat. Recently, a runner named Nikki, she discovered that it was actually on those tiles that you couldn't get an encounter to begin with. So by parking it a little bit earlier, I lose a little bit of time in terms of movement, but I skip 2 encounter checks, which on average makes it worth it to just park it there. So this is Matoya. She's lost her eye. We could have triggered this cutscene earlier if we had gotten here before, but there was no real point in doing just that. Now that we have the eye, though, we can just give it to her. Now, you may have noticed those brooms walking around. They tend to be able to get stuck in the door. It doesn't happen very often. It's only a couple runs that I've actually... Okay. So that one got in front of the door for a little bit, but they can actually get in the doorway itself. And quite a while ago, we're talking I think February roughly, a runner named Osabe, a French runner of this game, he actually lost a world record to that. He ended 10 seconds off of world record, and he lost 15 seconds on the broom. So those brooms tend to be quite something. I've had it happen twice that they actually got stuck in the door and it lost me over 10 seconds, but it's pretty painful when it does. Yeah, I guess we can kill them.
Yeah, should be fine with all attack. These low rolls, though.
Yeah, I mean, the white mage got a pretty decent roll, but the warrior was very, very low.
still low, actually. That was a crit for 66.
Yeah. Well, we got a potion drop. That's gonna be useful.
Very. So yeah, at the start of the game, by selling an extra armor, we actually got enough money to get all the potions we need for the entire game. So any potion drop is basically going to be meaningless. Especially because at the middle of the game, we're actually going to start using healing magic instead of potions. So at that point, the potions are entirely useless unless you run out of mana.
So this is the Elven Castle, and we're gonna talk to the steward of the Elven Prince. He's like a healer or whatever. And he decides to, you know, he accepts our Jewel Tonic. He tries to wake up the Elven Prince, and with luck, apparently, the Elven Prince wakes up, and as a reward, we're gonna get the Mystic Key. So this key opens up any locked door. So we can there's actually quite a few locked doors that we can open using this key. There's only 2, I believe, that we actually use it on. So I'm exiting the castle on the left. It saves a couple tiles of movement, saves a little bit of time. And we're going to move on to the treasury up here, where we're going to do the next bit of menuing. So this should be interesting. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, to the white mage. And right. Okay, same swap as before. Thief for white mage.
Contrary to popular belief, this is very hard if you can't hold it properly. To white mage, yeah.
So yeah, he has to press 2 buttons at the same frame. We could do a formation change.
Yeah, sure.
Let's just get that out of the way. So yeah, he could do that. We could do the other ways around as well, which doesn't require the formation change, but that means we both have to press a button on the same frame. And that tends to be hard. So yeah, we're gonna buy some gold needles. That's basically just for safety later on. What that does is that it cures petrification. And in one of the next in the next dungeon that we're getting to, at some point cockatrices start showing up, which have a chance to petrify on hit. It's really annoying when it happens. So we're gonna do our best, or we're gonna hope to not even need them. But if it does, then at least we have the gold needles to cure it. Before, though, we're going to go back to the very first castle, the castle we started at, and we're going to get that nitro powder, which the king has been keeping from us all this time.
Donation, sure.
Yeah, we've got a bit of sailing coming up, so go ahead.
Magnificent just donated 16 euros and 67 cents, saying, "Money for this fun and informative run. Keep it up." Thank you so much for your generous donation.
I believe that puts us at 350 as well. So thank you everybody for donating. That's insane to reach that goal.
I don't think any of us had expected to reach 350 on the first charity marathon we did. So that is absolutely amazing.
Keep it up, guys. Keep it up.
So yeah, we're gonna move on to the dwarven castle here. We're gonna give them the nitro powder, and that's gonna end up opening up a canal. They've actually been working on it for a while, but they can't finish it up. So let's speed things up a bit and help them in that process.
So yeah, Mount Mash. Basically, we have to sit through this cutscene and wait for him to talk. Mash a few times, mash away a cutscene, then mash some more text, and then we can run away again.
Yeah, an interesting thing about those cutscenes is there's actually a few of those over the course of the run, and they are only skippable in the PSP version of the game. If you run either GBA, PSX, or like the mobile version, I believe it's also unskippable in mobile. Like you cannot mash through this cutscene. So this is like it's a minor time difference, but over the course of the run, it amounts to about 3 minutes. So it is a neat little time save that we get in PSP that we don't get in the other games. So yeah, now before we can actually leave, we have to wait for this guy to move off screen. So we'll have to wait for a little bit, and then we can move back out of the canal and start making our way to Melmond.
At least he walks fast.
True.
Compared to the golem, I mean...
Yeah, we'll get to that golem in a little bit. That guy is something.
Let's just say people running off the screen before a scene ends is kind of a thing in Final Fantasy. And it kind of gets abused.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice one tile, by the way.
I think that was 2 tiles, right?
Was it?
I think it was 2 tiles.
Might have been still.
So in the next town, we're actually coming up on one of the most important menus on the game. So we've still been throwing around, you know, attacks with that staff that we have, which I guess it works, but it's not particularly good. So it's about time we get a weapon upgrade.
Yeah, so let's get a steel glove. That would work.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, let's turn that into something
oh.
better. Oh, sorry.
Okay, there.
There we go.
Oh, I needed to go back first. Yeah, go ahead. Okay,
There we
unequip,
go. That's
unequip.
one.
Okay, now we need to do some formation changes because we still need the other characters as well. And swap the mages around. So yeah, this would normally be a lot faster, but pressing 2 buttons at the same frame, as I said, we'll try it with one of the last menus, but it is incredibly difficult. We practiced that for a while, but I don't think we got it a single time.
Nope, not a single
in
time
like,
indeed.
what was it, like 10 minutes of practice or something?
Something like that.
So we have tried, but it is way too difficult to do that properly.
Yeah, the thing is, even if you time it, you're not going to get your timing frame perfect, but because it's always somebody mashing slightly early or late.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to compensate for the other as well, and you basically just never get it. Oh,
Thank God that's a
okay.
preemptive. That encounter can actually be really painful.
Okay, to quickly explain, ghouls and gas and a couple of other enemies can actually paralyze you. If your full party gets paralyzed, you basically can do nothing. But another fact about paralysis is that if you have the status, it can still get stacked on top of it. So basically, you can end up in a permanent paralysis lock, because even if you were about to get out, it'll actually get refreshed and get stacked up on top again.
We need to heal.
Yeah, we need to heal that.
I think also heal up the mages while we're at it.
Yeah, might as well, if we're there.
Okay, there we go. We're purposely keeping the warrior and thief as low as we can, so we want to keep him under like 75. So they're actually at a really good amount of health right now. It doesn't matter if we go over a little bit, because we're expecting to take some damage along the way. But the more we have to resort to that, the worse it gets, I guess. So this is where we're gonna make our first safety save. We'll be making a bunch of those over the course of the run. Dying on this floor is very, very rare, but it has happened a few times. Ooh,
there we
okay,
go.
yeah. This is what we're talking about with whites and ghasts. Judgment staffs?
Yeah, if we don't get paralocked.
Yeah.
Because then we're just resetting.
Yeah. There.
Hold up. There.
Oh. Whatever. This works. There we
Yeah.
go.
So, because we have the cursor set to remember where it's supposed to be, those judgment stats will be there for the mages for the continuation of the run. Even if we go to attack, it'll still remember that we had judgment staff in the item slot selected. Should be good enough.
Yeah, Wraith should be fine.
Famous last words, I tell you. Again? Or
Yeah. I guess we might as well. I don't want to play around with these Wraiths too long.
Yeah, no. That is a famous mistake to make.
Yeah. Wraiths tend to be pretty difficult to run from, even with our upgraded agility. So even though there's only 3 of them and they can't ever paralock us in one turn, they can still end up being pretty scary if you try running for too long. That's a mistake that's lost quite a few people a run in the past, so...
I can attest to that one pretty well. Yeah, wolves are not nearly as scary now that we actually have the bans, unless they try and ambush us with 8 at a time, because that just lasts a long while.
So I guess it's about time we actually showed how powerful those new toys of our are. Like how powerful they actually are.
We upgraded our stick to a piece of metal. Let's see how strong it is on bosses, right?
Yeah, let's do. So this is like a mini boss, so to speak. Oh, that went really quickly.
Whoops.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah, vampires and silverware, they don't go well together.
Yeah, apparently. So yeah, to explain what happened there, we upgraded to the Barbarian Sword, which is actually the most powerful sword in the game, by quite a long shot. You may have heard of such swords as Excalibur. The Barbarian Sword is about 3 times as powerful, as well as adding a strength boost of 15 to every character that wields it. So it is ridiculously overpowered. You normally only get it when you beat the toughest version of the super boss Cronodia in the Labyrinth of Time, which is like the hardest boss of the game. It's ridiculously hard to kill. We actually do that in all bosses. It's not an easy fight. So these are the Pisco Demons. This is, because it was flagged as a mini boss earlier, this actually counts as an unrunnable encounter here, so we're gonna have to kill it off real quick. But yeah, with having that sword, we deal so much damage that basically everything will go down in one hit, with the exception of a couple bosses. Even in the final dungeon, regular encounters will just die in one hit to that weapon. It's ridiculously powerful. But it's also what makes this run as easy as it is.
Yeah, it basically also means that we don't actually have to level apart from the levels we get by just playing through the game normally. The only reason we're actually leveling the mages is to get a couple of spells that we need to complete the game faster than we usually could.
So we backtracked out. We could have gone further into the dungeon, but there is a stone slab in the way later on, and we need the earth rod to move it away. Had we done that mini game that I was talking about earlier, and had we gotten the 1 in 6 drop we would have hoped for, if we had somehow managed to actually get through that game in time, we would have been able to teleport out right there instantly, and would have saved us about 2 minutes. In any race or marathon setting, it's generally not worth it. Also, this is that stone golem we were talking about. You'll see why we call this guy as slow as he is.
Let's just say, he likes to walk very fast. And we need to wait for him to be off-screen and then some before we get to move again. Because they can only despawn him off-screen, because otherwise it looks bad, so, yeah, that's when we start moving again. And he just disappears into a wall, because, yeah, why not, right?
Yeah, when you run this on the PSX version, he actually walks in a straight line, and he just walks into the wall. In most other versions, he just walks towards the wall. It's more of a PSP. I think it does the same in GBA, that he walks up towards the stairs. So yeah, this is the Sage's Cave. This is where we're going to get the Earth Rod. Basically, this is what we need so that we can finally reach the first crystal. Also, in terms of that donation incentive to share the mustache, we agreed that that Jasper will be wearing the mustache starting the second crystal boss, which is going to be Merilith. So, just to make this a little bit more doable on ourselves, we figured that would probably be the smartest approach.
Yeah, otherwise we're gonna have to swap it around a couple of times during the run, which just loses a bunch of time.
Yeah, as you can see, like this, even though we're constantly running from encounters and stuff, there isn't actually that much downtime, because even now, like as soon as we run, we can pretty much instantly start moving. So it wouldn't be enough time to put on a mustache or something. But after the crystal bosses, there is a bit of a cutscene that we can use for it. So we figured that particular cutscene would probably be a smart one to use it for, as that's about halfway through the run. So yeah, back to Cavern of Earth, and we're gonna make our way to the first of the 4 crystals that we need to gather. So an interesting bit in Final Fantasy I is that the crystals don't actually have to be gathered in order. The only requirement is that you do the Earth Crystal first. You can't actually reach any of the other crystals before you get the Earth Crystal. In the speedrun, we actually do them in the intended order, as that is the fastest way to do it. Back in a very old route, about a little over a year ago, we actually used to do the Fire Crystal last, which is supposedly the second crystal. But through some optimizations and some route changes, it ended up that the overworld movement was the fastest, doing them in the intended order. It saves about 10 seconds. I believe there's still like 1 or 2 runners that keep to the old order. I know Lenofis, who is the number 2 console runner, still uses the intended order, or the old order that we used.
Interesting. Honestly.
Okay, we're gonna make another safety save. These are, like, we shouldn't ever need these saves, but considering it's a marathon, we should play it safe and just save right there. The problem is, if we happen to get the cockatrice ambush and they happen to petrify the entire party, there's nothing we can do, and we would just game over and have to get set back to our last save, which, if we weren't going to save there, would be the start of the game, so wouldn't be too smart.
To quickly explain, the game considers petrification as a form of death, so if your entire party is petrified, you are dead. Please, second run.
We'll give it like 1 turn.
Yeah.
Otherwise, staff again.
If we even get a second turn.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, we should staff.
So yeah, a bit of an advantage here is that the first 2 characters are so much more likely to get hit than the mages, that you usually tend to have a little bit more leniency with the mages.
Okay.
That's
usually preemptive.
That is
actually.
usually a preemptive, which is probably good, because that encounter can be pretty scary.
Almost always in that spot as well, I think.
I haven't seen an Ogre Jelly yet. That's kind of unfortunate. The Ogre Jelly is a 1 in 64 encounter in the on floors 3 and 4, and it's a 3 in 64 encounter on this floor.
Let's not ask for 1 in 64s just yet.
Yeah. Well, the 1 in 64 here isn't fun, so it's Earth Elementals. They're like the most annoying unrunnable here, probably.
Well, I'm just waiting for the Ice Dragons.
Fair. So yeah, this is Lich. He's like the first major boss of the game. Remember, we're still on staff with everybody but Warrior.
Yeah, that should be fine because I'm just matching for attacks here.
Yeah, just making sure. So yeah, Lich is actually probably the most deadly boss in the game. He has a move called Blizzara.
There.
Well, you guys get to see a bit of a showcase of what it's about. Yeah.
There.
Okay.
That worked, hopefully?
Yeah.
Okay,
it
yeah.
Should be fine.
So yeah, this is why we save before this boss. So usually you're supposed to outspeed him with enough characters that you can kill him. On average, you need 2 hits to kill, but you sometimes need 3. We got fairly low rolls there, so we ended up needing 3, and he casted the Blizzara. Because we reset, we're back to attack on everybody, so we should be able to get a very quick kill here. There we go.
That should be, yeah.
That'll do it. So yeah, that's why we save before Lich. That's the most dangerous fight in the game, pretty much.
That's also the first run killer of the game, basically.
Yeah, this is a boss that quite a few runs have died to in the past. Way back in the day, back when I started running this game, about like a year and 3 months ago or something, we actually used to get dragon armor or dragon mail, which cut the damage from that by a significant bit, so we wouldn't actually get damaged enough to kill us, at least if we were on full health. The problem with that, it's too far out of, or it's not that far out of the way, but it's still out of the way, and it requires giving up one of the Thieves' armlets, which makes running harder, so on average it's just not worth it. Especially because dying there is like a 10 to 15% at most. So taking a safety save there is generally more than enough. We also saw the first of the bonus dungeons get unlocked. That was Earthgift Shrine, which is one of 5 bonus dungeons in this game. Each of the crystals is tied to one of the bonus dungeons, as well as one general big bonus dungeon at the end. So yeah, in all of those bonus dungeons, you get to fight some of the boss, or like the most notable bosses from some of the other Final Fantasy games. That particular dungeon has the bosses from Final Fantasy 3 in it. We're also going to get Final Fantasies 4, 5, and 6 as we go along. So now that we have, now that we've reached the Earth Crystal, we're actually going to be able to get a canoe in a little bit. The guy that gives it to us won't give us the canoe unless we restore the land or something. He says something along those lines. And so in order to do that, we actually have to have reached the Earth Crystal first, otherwise it doesn't count and he won't give it to us, and we can't move on without the canoe. As soon as we get the canoe, though, a whole lot of options open up. The game suggests us to get the Fire Crystal next, which we can reach with a canoe. The thing is, that's not fast. It requires a lot of added overworld movement, and with it, a lot more encounters, so it's not worth it for us to do that. And instead, we're going to try to get the airship first, with which we can also reach that same crystal, just needs a little bit more work, I guess. I guess we should still do some Black Art menuing.
Yeah, I usually skip the White Mage, but in this case...
we can do, like, the Thief and one of the Mages.
Yeah, Thief and White Mage, I guess, because you want to swap those forth and back anyway.
Yeah.
They're closest in menuing.
So yeah, first things first, though, before we're going to do more menuing, we're going to get some ethers here. We need some way of restoring MP later on, and those ethers work really well, and it's not too far out of the way to get them here. We're also going to get a Mithril Axe after Canoe.
Sure.
That's where I usually do it, so...
Sure. Right after the text boxes, you mean?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Sure.
So yeah, this guy, he gives us the canoe. And we're going to actually do a little bit of added menuing again. We're going to get those black garbs. Each black garb adds another 5 agility on compared to what we had before. So getting 3 of them means that particular character gets 15 added agility, and that just makes running away a lot easier again.
That was a really good menu.
Formation.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty smooth, yeah. So yeah, in a normal run, you can either opt to do 2 characters or 3. Most runners will go for 2, which is the one right of you and the one left of you. The thing is, left isn't really an option for us, but for the safety of the marathon, we're still going with 2 characters. Personally, I usually go for 3 characters. It's a little bit safer, but the difference isn't too big. So you can just not do that, and it doesn't matter too much. Gotta keep an eye on that warrior health though. 27 is kind of low.
He's probably dead. Oh, should be fine.
Yeah, I expect so, but we'll want to keep an eye on it for a little bit.
Fair enough.
So yeah, next up is the Cavern of Ice, and this is probably the bane of most runners of this game. This dungeon can throw so many things at you that can kill you. This is, however, where we're going to get the Levy Stone, as well as where we're going to grind out some of those levels that we talked about. The Levy Stone allows us to get an airship, which makes movement a lot faster, and in the air we don't get encounters, which is really convenient. So we're mainly there just for that. But that is quite a hassle to go through. There is, I guess we'll save and I'll explain. Like there's a few encounters here that are just.
I guess I can go into that.
Fair. Okay, so we're gonna make a safety save here because this place tends to kill you. Most runners take like up to like 2 to 3 safety saves over the course of this dungeon.
So yeah, basically this dungeon here is the first introduction of Mind Flayers, and Mind Flayers can paralock your party with one spell that they always do. So basically, if you have an ambush of 4 Mind Flayers, you basically have 4 chances per character of getting paralyzed on each character.
Not to mention, those Mind Flayers can kill on hit. So regardless of how much health you have, you can die in 1 hit. And it's a 6 and 64 encounter, so it's actually a pretty common encounter at that.
So yeah, as well as that, there's also Ice Dragons, which as well, basically the same as Lich, can do Blizzaraga, which will still wipe her entire party at once. So if you meet one of them, you either have to basically punch them to death before they can touch you, or you're dead. Yeah,
We're on potion because we had to reset. Oh, that's... okay.
That's bad.
That could be a problem. Let's hope that doesn't actually become bad. Okay, we're fine. We're fine.
What item was it?
Mithril Axe.
Would have just said...
It wouldn't have done anything. I guess we can move on still.
Yeah. I'm not too worried about the warrior's health yet.
Nah. Thief is lower, actually.
Oh, yeah.
This is unrunnable.
Unrunnable.
So yeah, the White Dragon, it's a 1 in 64 that can cast Ice Storm, which kills us. But there is another one as well. There's also Dark Wizards, which is a 3 in 64 encounter that has Faraga. And Faraga will also instantly kill our party. Now, on top of that, you may have seen those wraiths and stuff just now. There are a lot of safety save here. Oh, sorry. There is a lot of undeads here that can paralyze on hit, which can get you paralocked and lose you a ton of time. As well as there being both Pisco demons.
Reset that, or?
No, it's not an ambush.
Fair enough.
Don't reset unless it's an ambush. So yeah, and there's also a few unrunnables. There's the Pisco demons, which surprisingly we haven't seen yet, and there's that Ice Gigas Winter Wolf, which is actually the rarer of the 2 unrunnables. Not to mention these guys, the cockatrices, which we mentioned before, that can petrify on hit. Leave Thief petrified, I think.
Yeah, just try and run once, or...
yeah.
Should be fine.
Yeah, we have black garbs on white.
We should be able to run. Oh yeah, we don't have black garbs on black mage. That's a good one. And of course the freaking warrior actually runs.
So the reason we want to keep the Thief petrified here, that still worked.
Okay.
This is Evil Eye, and this is where we're gonna grind. Actually, kill it. We didn't heal the Black Mage, he'll die. It's faster to kill.
Yeah, fair enough.
We actually forgot to heal the Black Mage here. You have to heal him up to full, or he will die here. So this'll... yeah, let's just grab this. Can't forget it now. So yeah, we're gonna have to kill off the warrior here as well. That's just so that they don't get as much experience. Thundara turn 1. That's good.
RNG.
Ooh, and living on 3 health. Just defend. White has black garbs anyway.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll heal up to full after this. We should be fine.
We don't even have to heal.
Well, I've had a Thundara even with black garbs before, so
Really?
yeah, it's very, very rare, but let's...
Did you see what level we were actually?
No. I guess we'll just get a couple levels and then we'll check along the way.
Should have checked when we were healing.
We should have.
I always forget as well, so kinda doesn't help.
So yeah, we need to reach level 18 and a half along the way. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to try to reach level 18, and then we'll kill the Evil Eye one more time. We need to reach level 19 to get the spells that we want, but we still have to kill a couple things along the way anyway, so that will get us the remaining bit of experience that we need. 18 is generally enough, but it's not very consistent because we're still going to try to run for most stuff.
Check after this next
yeah.
one.
I think we're on 17 and a half, but
Probably. I have a feeling we're about 16, 17.
yeah. So 2 more fights then.
Yeah, should be good. Yeah, don't worry about the party. We'll heal them just in a bit. After a drop down, I guess?
Yeah, that's where I usually do it as well.
Yep.
Either up here or up. See, this is what I mean. If that had been Thundara, we would have died. So
Okay.
it's very uncommon for him to be faster, but it does happen.
Should have been that last, actually.
It's fine.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, here we go. So
Yeah, good
this
enough.
should be fine. So with that out of the way, we're going to try to move out as quickly as we can, and we're going to get the airship so we can actually move on to the next couple dungeons. Ooh, again? This is... navigating
not do
menus is hard when you're doing it together.
Yup. You expect somebody to press a button, and they don't.
Pretty much.
It's going fairly well, honestly.
True.
We've not had any major mess-ups.
No, and I
just
think
yet.
we're only like 5 minutes behind a regular run, almost halfway in, so...
We're probably on pace for my runs.
Yeah.
I usually, if I'm on somewhat of a bad pace, I usually exit here about 50, so...
Yeah, I guess
yeah,
attacking
let's
is
just
better.
do that.
I probably should have gone staff in case they paralyzed, but we should be
We're
fine.
fine. I trust in the ability of my warrior to kick ass.
That works.
And it did.
I mean, Shady did that well today, so I
Yeah.
guess the warrior named after Shady will probably do so too.
We really want to
Ooh,
meme
okay.
he went to kick Cancer's butt, but
I guess if this might be this is
yeah,
staff.
this is staff for sure.
Oh, that's potion. That's still Mithralax. Because
Whatever,
it
this
doesn't
should kill.
matter. This will do.
We need to change him to attack soon enough anyway.
Yeah, true.
We'll somehow figure it out at Lich.
Yeah.
Keepo.
So yeah, with that out of the way, we're gonna get our airship, and that will mean that we'll start speeding up a lot of stuff right now, because it's been going fairly slow. We've been doing a lot of side questing. Basically, the way that the run is set up is that as soon as we get the canoe, we first get pretty much all of our side questing out of the way, and then we're actually going to get the remaining crystals. There are a couple side quests that we'll do in between, but those are usually fairly short.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get most of it out of the way immediately anyway, so might as well. It sets up really nicely to get the end of the run in a really nice and fast pace.
So we're gonna park our ship over here, and we're gonna move into the desert. And this may look like a regular desert, but it definitely isn't.
Yeah, Sid had his way with this desert, basically.
So yeah, this is another one of those cutscenes. We're actually gonna trigger an actual cutscene where we would normally see the ship rise from the desert, but we're gonna skip that or at least we're gonna trigger it and then skip most of it.
We did get the cutscene.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting the cutscenes. We're just making them really, really short.
We're making them extra sweet.
So yeah, now that we have the airship, we're first going to the Citadel of Trials, and It is technically faster to go to the Citadel of Trials by ship. The thing is, doing so loses about 10 seconds on overworld movement later, and it's only about 2 seconds faster on average. So on average, it's still faster to do the airship just because of the overworld movement that you save. So we're gonna walk through here, and we're gonna move to the Citadel of Trials, where we're gonna try to get the Rat's Tail, which is what we need to get class upgrade later on.
Yeah, basically the Citadel of Trials is somewhat of a trial to prove that you are worthy of getting your class upgrades. Basically, the dragon tells you to get something out of here, and the Rat's Tail is the first thing you find. So whatever, man.
So, interestingly enough, that first guy over there, in the NES version, he actually requires the crown in order to pass. He won't let you pass unless you show him the crown. In every later version, they just stop that because you are supposed to have the crown regardless. It's a mandatory thing in the quest anyway. And then we're gonna get this teleporter maze. I mean, any good game has at least one teleporter maze, right?
Let's just keep it as maze in general.
Fair. So this is the Minotaur zombie. Where else?
Let's not do that.
So yeah, the Minotaur zombie is actually an unrunnable encounter. It's pretty common on this floor. We see it like half of the encounters you see roughly.
Okay, I can just hold X. Not bad.
So yeah, now that we get to the third floor, we're about to get an encounter with some nightmares in just a little bit. That's actually a forced encounter. Every time you step on that tile, you get into a fight with nightmares. Let's just kill them.
Yeah, I was about to anyway.
Cool.
I never run unless it's a preemptive anyway.
Fair.
Because nightmares are a nightmare to run from. Yes, I went there, sorry.
So yeah, much like much like the Evil Eye spot, as well as a couple other tiles we've passed, this guy is on a spiked tile, basically meaning that whenever you step on top of that tile, you will get that encounter every single time. It can be either 1 or 2 nightmares, it can be ambush or preemptive, that's not set. The only thing that's set is that we'll always get a nightmare encounter there.
And the one tile, right after it.
It's not really a one tile though, considering the nightmare is always there.
Fair enough. We've had quite a high encounter rate anyway,
Yeah.
I think.
Hilara before Gulk, I think we took quite a bit of damage
Yeah,
on some
right as we
characters.
enter gold should be fine. That's why I usually do the mana part anyway.
So yeah, before we're gonna leave, we still need to get the Rat's Tail, but we're gonna get one other item. There's a... Oh, okay,
Hello.
this is a 1 in 64 encounter. It's incredibly rare to see that outside of the spike tile. We're gonna see another one very soon, but getting it there is very, very rare. So yeah, we get these gauntlets. That's for the very last menu of the game, just before the final boss. And this chest gives us the Rat Tail. Basically, the way that the story explains it is that chest will show whatever you expect to find. We expect to find something that will make us prove our worth to Bahamut, and a Rat's Tail will do in that sense.
I mean, he needs some kind of food.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not too much though. He's eaten enough in his day.
Yeah, he's pretty big.
I mean, we don't want him to start breathing fire on us. That's a bad thing. Yeah, let's heal that off.
Yeah. There. That's a one tile, right? It was bound to happen at some point.
Obviously.
Yeah, these worms are actually a fairly rare encounter. There's an island a little bit to the left where it's ridiculously likely to find that, but over here you don't really see them very often. Okay, guess we're menuing again. So yeah, normally that doesn't really matter much, but in a full bestiary run it can be kind of annoying to not see them there. So I guess I might as well explain a little bit about the categories of this game. So this is any percent, be it 2-player, 1 controller, but it's basically just any percent. We have categories for PSP in glitchless as well, which is just this but without the equipment glitch. And then we have all bosses and full bestiary, which are a little bit longer, but all bosses requires you to do all of the bonus dungeons as well. Some of them multiple times to kill all of the bosses, which is really interesting. It's a very cool run to do. It's a lot more execution heavy as well. And then there's full bestiary, which requires killing one of every single encounter in the game. It's the most RNG heavy and also the most execution heavy run of this of the PSP version. It requires to do the last bonus dungeon, which is the most difficult one, the Labyrinth of Time, 8 times in total, getting different results every single time. You want to have a specific order of wins and loses in that, just to get the encounter you need. It's about an 11.5-hour run. It's a really interesting one to do. But it's also a very, very long and difficult one. So yeah, we just talked about Hamud, which, after having shown him the Rat's Tail, deems us worthy and allows us class upgrade. So our warrior is now a knight, our thief became a ninja, and our mages became wizards. Both the knight and the ninja can learn some form of magic over the course of the run. The knight can learn basic white magic, whereas the ninja can learn basic black magic. We're not going to make use of that though. The biggest advantage is a spell that the black mage is going to get pretty soon. Because of this, he can learn teleport, which is an incredibly useful spell. Having teleport basically warps us back 1 floor, so it results in that we don't have to backtrack as much in later dungeons. As an added bonus, the ninja can equip a lot more stuff than the thief can, making equipment glitching a lot easier on us as well. We're gonna make one final sidetrack here so that we can get the haste spell, and then we're gonna move on towards the second crystal and start wrapping up this game real quick. Basically, from this point on, it's just gathering crystals as quickly as we can. I mean, we're about an hour in, and we've still only got 1 crystal, so we gotta hurry up a little bit. Menu?
Yeah, I was about to.
We can do this.
Yeah, we should be able to do that. Actually, do we want to sort? We need to do that again anyway.
Yeah, might as well. Magic. So yeah, by being on full health, we're pretty much safe for this dungeon. It's not too difficult a dungeon. You may notice that I'm purposely walking on a lot of these lava tiles, and that has everything to do with the fact that lava tiles don't actually spawn any encounters. The downside of it, okay, heal after this fight, sure. just to play safe. The downside of it is that every time we take a step there, we take 1 damage, but it won't actually ever kill us. The problem is, if we get an ambush like that one, once we're all at 1 health, we're just gonna die, and our last save was in Cavern of Ice, so we don't want to have that happen. So we're gonna play it a little safe, take the necessary heals. It's better to heal like 1 additional time and just make sure you can't die than not heal and end up being on 1 health and dying to some dumb ambush.
To be fine for the rest of
I guess we can still heal like halfway through. It only loses a few seconds. I guess this would be a good point. I mean, Black Mage was pretty low, as well as Thief.
Then we don't need to heal here, though.
Yeah, we shouldn't need to. We should be completely fine here.
Okay. I've seen her try and kill me once. That was interesting.
Yeah, so this is Merilith. Interestingly enough, in all bosses and full bestiary, it's actually possible to one-shot her if you get a crit on the Thief. In any percent, I think it's impossible, or at least it's incredibly rare. So she's got 1410 health, barely needed that 3rd hit. Actually, we're gonna actually be switching mustaches pretty soon.
Let's go.
We'll try. Yeah. Feels good to be able to breathe again.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay. It's fine. I can live with this.
It's doable enough.
for now.
So yeah, we're gonna see the second of the bonus dungeons unlocked. We're gonna see Hellfire Chasm here. This is where the Final Fantasy IV bosses are at, particularly the 4 elemental archfiends of FF4. It's also a really interesting dungeon. It's probably one of my favorite bonus dungeons. It's got some really cool floors, so definitely worth playing through that casually. And we'll just warp out real quick and start moving on. So next up, we're gonna pretty much set up so that we can go for the water crystal, which is the 3rd crystal we're gonna be looking for. Slightly too high. So we're gonna go to the caravan over here. An interesting thing about that airship is we can only park it on land tiles, which is kind of a thing. Yeah.
What was that one?
So only on planes can we actually park it, so we're just gonna leave it on planes there and have to walk a little bit. Once we have that, what we bought there was the Giant's Tonics, which we kind of might need for the final boss. We might also not need them at all. We've got fairly decent health so far, so we'll see by the time we get there. But more importantly, we got the fairy in a bottle, which as soon as we enter Gaia unlocks into the actual fairy, which we need to get Oxyale, which is going to allow us to breathe underwater. Which, you know, since we're going for a water crystal, we'll probably have to look underwater somewhere.
Sounds pretty reasonable. Let's get that Oxyale and let's actually get into the dungeon pretty quickly here.
Teleport out of town?
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, theoretically, it's about as fast to teleport out of town as it is to walk out of town. The thing is, teleporting out of town here sets up the menu for teleporting later during Sunken Shrine, which is the dungeon we're going next. So at the end of the day, because of that, it's about 4 seconds faster to teleport. So we're going to park our ship over here, and we're going to move on to the next town. So we're going to Onrak, which is where we're going to find the entrance to the Sunken Shrine.
This menu is going to be fun.
Oh yeah, this next menu is going to be very interesting, I'll say that much.
So basically, the maid is going to ask us to help her, and we actually have to say yes, and the game defaults to no, because the game apparently thinks we're not very helpful, even though we already fetched 2 crystals.
Also, that blue guy is actually not too common for him to get in the way anymore, but somehow he still managed to get in our way. So yeah, interestingly enough, it is not actually in every version that it defaults to no there. Most versions just have it defaulted to yes. PSP is one of the rare ones in that. It can be a little annoying, but if you accidentally say no, you don't really lose that much time, so it's generally not that big a deal. So this is the Sunken Shrine, which is probably the dungeon with the most unrunnable encounters in the game. There's water elementals, there's ghosts, and there's a Sahagin Prince and Chief combination, which are all unrunnable. We'll probably be seeing most of those as we go along. Ideally, we'd see as little of those as possible, because they're kind of slow to kill. But if we happen to see some, then we can just kill them pretty quickly anyway. It's generally not that bad if you get some. So there we get to the first one. Okay, I was about to say Mithril Axe. Whatever, doesn't matter.
I realized it and then just held it. Because White Mage is way faster anyway.
For now, but after the equipment, she's not anymore. So we need to switch that on the next unrunnable. So we're actually going the wrong way here, but we're doing that in order to get an item up here, which we need for the quest later on. In order to get to the air dungeon, we need to get the Rosetta Stone from the water dungeon, which is why we're always going to be doing air after water in the speedrun. Because we basically need to go here anyway, and now that we're here, we might as well just go get the crystal as well. So this is the first instance where we're going to be using teleport. We're going to teleport 2 floors back, because we need to go the other way. Basically saving us that entire walk back. Saves about 2 minutes, depending on the luck.
Honestly, that was a pretty good wing. We got no unrunnables, so looked pretty good.
We got the ghosts, but just one
that's
unrunnable
fair.
is still above average.
Hello there.
Uh,
You want to go one up?
yeah, there we go. Interesting that Judgment Staff stayed on the same spot after sorting. That's pretty uncommon.
Okay, fine.
I mean, it works out nicely.
Let's take it and run.
So yeah, the Sahagan Prince-in-Chief is actually the more annoying one, as they tend to be able to be faster than us and actually get some hits in. They don't actually deal any damage, but it is kind of slow if that happens. So we're also about to come up to probably the biggest menu of the game. We're actually pretty much going to set up for the last little bit of the run. And in doing so, we have to do quite a bit of menuing. So hopefully that won't go too terribly today.
Can't go as terribly as my last time when we were running this game. Racing.
That's fair. That's fair.
That was one heck of a menu. I have no idea what I fumbled there, but I basically dropped everything.
So yeah, so I'm going to go up here a little bit, and we're gonna grab a chest, but I'm gonna grab it from the furthest side from us. So we're actually gonna take a little bit of extra movement. That might seem weird, but what it does is it actually skips an encounter. All of the other sides of this chest are spiked. Unfortunately, we still got the encounter there, but okay, here we go. Warrior first, I guess. To right. Yeah, works.
Yeah, let's just do this.
Yeah,
right off.
lordly robes. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay.
Yeah, we need the formation swap anyway.
Okay. And then formation, these two.
We could keep that actually.
Not for the final boss, but we can for now.
We need to formation swap at the final boss. Hello?
Yeah, exactly. We can keep this up until the final boss, but we can't do that for the final boss because the warrior is more likely to get hit.
The Warriors is basically a meat tank at that point.
Yeah, and the Thief is our main damage dealer for that fight, and even though we got pretty good health rolls on the Thief at this point, he's not great with tanking physical hits, so we'll want him to at least be in the second spot.
Black Mage's pretty low, honestly. It's still below 200.
Well, I've seen worse.
I've seen worse, but it's still not very good.
Yeah, true. The Thief being at 240, though, is really high at this point.
Yeah, that's not bad.
So with that, we're coming up on the water crystal here, and that's the third of the 4 main bosses for the crystals. So this is Kraken. In a glitchless run, this guy can actually be a little bit annoying. The first form of Kraken actually isn't terrible. The second form can be a bit of a pain. In regular any percent though, this guy is an absolute joke. And that's why. Usually he takes 3 hits to go down, but because we got an amazing roll actually on the ninja just now, he went down in 2 hits instead.
Yeah, pretty good crit.
And with that, we're gonna get the next crystal, which is a water crystal. And also we're gonna see the cutscene where Lifespring Grotto gets unlocked. This is where the Final Fantasy V bosses are at. And also, probably some of the most difficult bosses in the All Bosses run are in this dungeon, like the Lifespring Grotto. It's got Omega and Shinryu, which are both incredibly difficult to kill. Save at the start of the next dungeon, just to be completely safe. Okay, we got an encounter walking out. That's kind of unlucky. Doesn't happen too often, but it's fine.
It's like a 10% or something.
Yeah, something like that. So, next up we're going to go to Waterfall Cave. This is actually a hidden cave where we're going to get the Warp Cube, which is an item we need in order to get to the Air Crystal. So, generally this cave isn't actually too bad. It's got one of the highest encounter rates in the game, but we can run from pretty much everything really quickly. Back in the old route, we used to do this dungeon before Sunken Shrine, but then Chrono Kirby figured out that by going to Sunken first, we'll have those survival vests, making running... Oh, okay, that's the 1 in 64. Making running in this dungeon very, very easy. The Green Dragon is the only unrunnable thing here. It's a 1 in 64 encounter that you actually very, very rarely get to see.
The nightmares are now a joke to run from, basically.
Yeah, even though we killed them before, because it's not unlikely that we'll struggle with them, by this point, having survival vests, we can run very, very easily, no problem.
Yeah, as well as just having a higher level in general, which also just boosts your stats just a little bit more.
Yeah, not to mention class upgrade, which is another boost to our stats. So everything got boosted since the last time we saw them. And as a result of all of those things, it actually becomes a really easy dungeon.
So yeah, remembering those cockatrices, we're about to get a spike tile on which they are very common, and they can kill us if they ambush.
Yeah, that's the reason we saved at the start, because our last save was still Cavern of Ice. I guess this is also where we're going to try to menu properly, the way we're supposed to.
I guess.
We're going to give it like a few tries, but if we don't get it, we'll just resort to the regular way.
Yeah, okay. Menu after this.
Yeah.
So rip this robot. When he gives us the warp cube, he apparently lost its purpose. Basically.
Okay, so equipment. First ribbon. Oh, doesn't matter. Ribbon, right. We need Gigantax first, so you go first.
Okay.
Just go.
What?
Gigantax, so just right.
Oh, yeah.
We need, okay, Barbarian Sword. Now we can go. Okay, one right. R. Okay, ready?
3, 2, 1, go. 3, 2, 1, go. 3, 2, 1, go. 3, 2, 1, go. You count.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Nice!
We got it!
Woo!
Nice! That is a first. Okay, go right. One more?
Actually, you can do it from the thief, right?
Yeah, no, but go
For
right.
the-
Yeah, no, we'll do this one first.
Okay.
Get this one out of the way. Right. Okay, one more. Right once. Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Woo!
Dude, nice!
Oh, shit.
Okay, teleport. There we go. That was impressive.
Nice, dude.
We
got
practiced
3
that
of
for
those.
quite some time yesterday and could not get it, so actually getting that in the marathon is...
2 in a row, even.
Yeah.
That's sick.
To be clear, it basically means we both have to press a button on the exact same frame. So we've got a 1/30th of a second window to press the button, which even when you count down is incredibly difficult. So getting it first try on that second one was not something I was expecting at all. So we're gonna make a quick stop here again in Melmond. We're gonna need to learn Lufenian, which is this rare language that nobody speaks anymore. This is what we needed that Rosetta Stone for that we picked up earlier. Okay, teleport. Yeah, go ahead. And with that, we're gonna move on to Lefenia. This is the last bit of quote-unquote side questing that we need to do for the entire remainder of the run. We need to get a chime here, and what that chime does is it unlocks the door to the Mirage Tower. And at the top of Mirage Tower, there is a warp point where if you have a warp cube, you can warp into the Flying Fortress, which is somewhere in the air. Okay.
Should be fine.
Yeah, but yeah, this should be fine. Staff is slightly faster here, I guess. So we, yeah, on 4 it is. Okay. On 3 it's the same, so
Fair enough.
It doesn't matter much. It's like half a second. So yeah, getting that chime allows us to get to the dungeon through where we... Okay, defend. There we go. It gets it, which will get us to the Flying Fortress, and in the Flying Fortress we can get the remaining crystal, the air crystal, after which we can go into the final dungeon.
This is not actually too bad, honestly. For like a 140-ish, 150-ish?
Yeah, somewhere like that, like 145.
145-ish, which is not bad for a marathon, especially 2-player, 1 controller.
Yeah, a lot of, especially the slightly more new runners use a 145 as their general marathon estimate. So getting that in a marathon, being 2-player, 1 controller, is quite something.
That is quite the achievement. Yeah, might as well.
3 is the same, so it's whatever the menu is on. In the teleport menu, we might want to use Hilara because of Blaze in the next dungeon.
Fair enough.
We've got enough damage that it would be worth it. Okay, so yeah,
Hello.
Lefenia is notorious for its NPCs.
That's quite a bit worse than it usually is, honestly.
True.
Though. Hello.
There we go. Back in the old route, we actually didn't have teleport, so we had to actually walk out of here as well. Now that we have teleport, though, it's not that big a deal anymore.
That's right, we don't have an airship. Whoops.
We'll first actually have to get to our airship again.
That's what I was saying, we don't have an airship. I pressed X by default.
Fair. Also, our Black Mage is at almost 200. He's getting close. It was at 198.
It's been like that for a while, though.
Okay, good.
Don't trust it.
So yeah, luckily Ice Storm doesn't deal as much damage anymore. Having the ribbons equipped, even though it's on our shield slot, it blocks any elemental damage by 50%. Seeing as how Ice Storm is technically an ice elemental attack, the damage gets cut in half. So these Winter Wolves don't really do anything.
So yeah, to quickly explain why we didn't have anything in our shield slot until we got ribbon, the game actually, Sorry, I'll get to that in a second once we're done with this. The game actually tries to pull up a menu or an animation if you're trying to block with whatever's in your shield slot. So most items would actually immediately crash the game because the game doesn't know what animation to pull up. Luckily enough, the ribbon actually has an animation tied to it that is the same as you blocking with your sword. So that actually works out to be able to use the ribbon in a shield slot, even though it's not supposed to be there because it's an actual headgear.
Yeah, the ribbon actually adds a lot of bonuses to us. It gives us the 50% elemental protection that I just mentioned, but that's not by far the only thing it does. On top of that, it gives us immunity to pretty much any status effect that is basically anything that's dealt through elemental stuff, which is anything except for the except for Mind Flyers, because those count as non-elemental. On top of that, it protects us from instant death from any spell cast on us. Again, that counts for just about anything that isn't a Mind Flyer. So, except for Mind Flyers, there's realistically not much that can kill us anymore. We've got 3 survival vests on everybody, which is another item you usually only get in one of the bonus dungeons, again from Chronodia. So having 3 of those on everybody boosts our defenses so much that nothing really starts dealing, or nothing really deals damage anymore.
Guardians, please. Come on.
There we go.
It's funny, the third time you try, it's usually always the first one that runs. For some reason. The game kind of has mercy on you if you're trying to run that badly.
So yeah, those Pyrolists have an instant death move, for example, but it wouldn't actually do anything. So that gets us to a spike tile. This blue dragon is a spike tile. It is also a 1 in 64 encounter in this dungeon, but we always get to fight at least one over there. And that gets us into Flying Fortress, which is the before last dungeon of the game already. And we're gonna say hi to our friend Evil Eye. Apparently, he came to avenge his friends.
He came
I
flying.
guess.
He went up to the floating dungeon, so that's pretty impressive, to say the least.
Still, I mean, he's not gonna help his friends from earlier. Those guys are gone.
As is he.
Yeah, true.
He's pretty dead. Even for a ghost. Oh,
Just circle.
yeah, whatever.
Fine. Once the first one has been, that's another little thing that you don't generally notice when you run this alone, but once the first character has selected something, you can only flee by actually selecting flee. So you can't use LNR to run with everybody else. So we're about to come up on the 5th floor, and at the start of this floor, we're actually going to make one remaining safety save. There is a 1 in 64 encounter on that floor. It's a war mech, and it has flare, or at least something along those lines. So we'll definitely not want to magic first, I guess. Heal up.
Oh, yeah, sure. I should
Good.
not have done that.
That's why I do that here, because it gets us back there. It's literally one tile of movement. That's happened to me before, which is why I do it right after the portal up. So yeah, that 1 in 64, if we happen to see it, we're going to try to kill it because it's the most experience and gil providing enemy in the game. It gives 33,000 gil, or no, 32,000 gil in experience, which basically grants us at least 1 additional level, if not 2 or 3. It's a really, really helpful encounter, but it's also really, really deadly. So the thing on this floor we're scared of is not actually the boss, it's that random encounter. Go ahead. So this is Tiamat. He's gonna protect the last of the crystals. He's a pushover, as with any of the other bosses. So yeah, that was Tiamat.
Just barely, though.
Yeah, that was pretty close to being a 2-turn. 2-turns here are incredibly rare, but if you get all low rolls, you can get that. And that gets us, so here we're gonna get to unlock the 4th of the bonus dungeons, and the last one tied to one of the crystals. This is Whisperwind, and in Whisperwind, you actually get to see some of the Final Fantasy VI bosses. It's also the biggest of the bonus dungeons, having 40 floors total. As well as being home to one of the unique 1 in 64 encounters in the game. And probably the worst one for a full bestiary run. Quite a few full bestiary runs die in this dungeon.
Should be on pace for 145 or less, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, I mean, Chaos realistically is going to take, like, what, 9 minutes? 10 minutes, maybe? We need to get there, so that's...
Yeah, 145 is very realistic, actually.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of surprised with, that we're still getting through this so quickly. We've had some pretty decent luck, though. We haven't died anywhere.
No.
We haven't made any major mistakes. So yeah, before we actually go into the final dungeon, we're gonna get to see this guy walk a little bit. He's gonna unlock this hidden door in the back. That's where the 5th and last of the bonus dungeons is at, the Labyrinth of Time. In the past, quite a few of the new runners have tried getting in there only to find out that was not the final dungeon. I remember doing that back in the day. So yeah, we step up into the center where we fought Garland earlier, use the 4 crystals, and we're gonna warp 2,000 years into the past.
If we have to save anyway, do we want to heal mana and heal the...
Yeah, we might as well.
Yeah, we need to do mana, then heal, then mana again, though.
We don't need the second mana. We can do that near the end.
Fair enough. Where? Black Mage 2, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, guys, enjoy the final dungeon.
And its music. Which
And on that note, this has been quite something today.
Yeah, this run, man. Okay, actually, staffs?
No, attack. This is the one exception, because
Staffs don't kill?
staffs do kill, but only when used by a white mage. And the white mage is slower than the green dragon, so they're all going to get an attack off. They have poison gas, which deals quite a significant amount of damage as well. So they are not something we want to fight with Judgment Staffs. It's one of the few exceptions, and it's just because it's faster than the white mage.
So yeah, here's Defi.
This guy...
And he's gone.
Yeah, this guy is actually pretty difficult to kill glitchless because he's got a really, really high defense. He doesn't actually have that much health, but because of his defenses, you don't normally actually deal any damage there. Because we have as overpowered a sword as we do, we're not really going to have to worry about it, though. Want to make a safety save before Lich 2?
Sure.
Should be the last one before
Safety
Chaos.
save or just heal?
Let's...
Heal should be fine.
We're kind of low with the Warrior and White Mage. Neither is over 400. And I mean, I remember last BSG that I decided healing would be enough.
If we're healing, then we don't need to. Or if we're saving, we don't need to heal at all, probably.
Just top it off just so to reduce...
After Lich, I guess? Or...
Nah, but just because Flare... Oh, nice emergency exit there. Because Flare is gonna be close to killing us, but probably won't. So we might want to top off their health, because it is 40 HP, which can make the difference between winning and a reset. Plus, it's like 3 seconds to heal, and a reset is like, what, 15 seconds?
Probably, yeah.
So from this point on, there aren't too many unrunnables left. The Earth Elementals are the only unrunnable thing on this floor. Earth Medusas can be a little annoying sometimes, but they generally don't tend to be. And then we get to see some of the bosses we saw before in a little bit. You may remember this next boss. We actually already died to him once, so... we did actually have one death now that I think about it. Lich 1.
Yeah, I had a Lich 1 diff in my PB though. So
Yeah.
Kinda...
Lich is probably the quickest thing to die on. So yeah, this Lich guy, he kind of had an upgrade in the meantime. He learned a move called Flare, which he didn't actually get... Well, Flare is pretty powerful, let's be honest.
But he's dead before he ever gets to do anything.
Yeah. So that was a really good Lich fight. Usually you need 4 to 5 attacks on average to kill him. So getting him in 3 hits is really, really lucky. He has a move called Flare, which usually kills... It's guaranteed to kill both Ninja and Black Mage, and it usually also... it usually gets the Warrior and White Mage really, really low on health. Generally, if you heal to full, you shouldn't die, but it's happened at a BSG before, so... I figured best not to risk it.
Gotta risk it for the biscuit, man.
And that gets us to the second of the refights. This is Merilith 2.
This one can be scary, but she usually isn't.
Yeah, I mean, she has Faraga, but again, if you're on full health, there's nothing that should happen here.
I've had her almost kill me once because I ignored the healing part.
Yeah, the thing with her is, because of the ribbons, her Faraga actually gets cut in half in terms of damage. But if you're not on full health, which is pretty common here, if you're going for a PB, then that can actually be scary.
I was 10 health across the board on a race. It's like, oh, so that's why we heal here. Cool. We know that now.
So yeah, these Sahagan Princes are unrunnable, but since they were paired with a White Shark, that combination is not unrunnable. As this floor in particular tends to be one of the more RNG heavy ones. There's water elementals here, which can be really painful to run from sometimes. Sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. Amounts of encounters vary between anywhere between 0 and 8. That's like 0 is very uncommon. I've seen it twice in total.
I think I've had one in my PB, and it's scary because I'm never taking that gold back.
Yeah, I've had it once at a BSG, so it's not actually in my splits even. But yeah, that was a good Kraken floor. We didn't see any water elementals, so that on its own means it's pretty good.
Wow, physicals from all the bosses. This is not bad at all.
Well, Lich didn't even do anything as well, but yeah.
These bosses can actually be quite scary. They don't look as harmful as they are right now.
Yeah, that particularly Kraken 2. Kraken 2 usually just one-shots a character with a physical if you're not overpowered in equipment. In Glitchless, he's actually a really scary boss as a result of that. Okay, this is going to be interesting.
Oh,
that one.
Yeah.
Okay, having our party in a different order is definitely threw me off there.
Honestly, it works out though.
Yeah. So we get off the haste on the ninja, and what that does is it makes us deal a little bit more damage on the second hit with a ninja, pretty much guaranteeing a 2-turn fight. It can still be a 3-turn, but it's incredibly rare. Whereas if you don't do it, it's about a 50%. So you lose a little bit of time on using haste to save quite a bit more by not having to take a 3rd turn.
So this next menu is going to be very interesting.
True. I think Warrior and Ninja we should swap, and then White Mage and Black Mage.
Yeah,
that's probably the easiest way.
We first need to heal up and do mana though.
True. Oh, hold on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We need to magic first, I guess.
Okay, formation. Yeah, equipment.
Just this one. There we go, golden staff, and this should be clothes.
Yeah.
The reason we equip clothes here is actually because we need our white mage to be slow enough that she never outspeeds chaos here. The reason for that is because if your white mage outspeeds chaos, he'll actually get 2 attacks off before you get to heal, which ends up in straight death.
Yeah. By equipping the clothes, it becomes incredibly unlikely for chaos to be slower. It can still happen, but it's very, very uncommon. Whereas with Black Garbs on, it's pretty much a speed tie between the two, so this ends up being a lot more safe.
We might need to...
Yeah, item.
Yeah.
Giants, tonic. Hold on. There we go. This should be fine. He can attack.
Do we want to Giant's tonic the beef as well, just in case?
281 should be enough.
Full magic cycle is going to kill the thief, though.
Yeah, but it usually does regardless. Glazaga is actually a really good first hit. It doesn't tell us what cycle we're on yet, but it does mean we don't take as much damage at the start. But yeah, 275 is usually the cutoff for me for a ninja, so I figure 281 should be enough. Looks like we're on a good cycle here. Time is as soon as the screen flashes white at the end of this fight. So Chaos actually differs a lot between the versions. In PSP, he's got 20,000 health, whereas in NES he only has 2,000, and in PSX he has 5,000. So in PSX we don't actually take a healer with us because we shouldn't ever need it, whereas on GBA and PSP it's pretty much required.
Laura on the warrior.
Right,
Oh,
nice
okay,
miss.
never mind.
Nice miss.
Slowra basically gets rid of the haste. If that was on the thief, it would have been somewhat of a problem. On the warrior, it's not too bad.
Okay, so get ready on time because we're getting pretty
Yeah,
close.
we're about to hit it, actually.
So yeah, this is Blaze, which is usually the first of his magic cycle spells, but we're close enough to killing him that we should be fine regardless.
Should be this turn on the next.
I think the next. Time.
And that's time.
That's under our regular marathon estimate.
Nice, dude. And I'm getting rid of this now.
So yeah, considering we usually go with a marathon estimate of 140, getting that
That is insane.
that time on 2-player 1 controller is very, very good. Like, this is what I would accept for a regular marathon run, let alone 2P1C.
Yeah, that was pretty insane. Good job, man.
Yeah.
We did it. We did it.